to watch Symposium. I'm Austin. All right, so wristwatch check, still sporting the Explorer 2. Now, in time, I'm going to shave down this goatee into a mustache, and along with the GMT Master 2 and a Hawaiian shirt, I think you guys know what kind of look I'm going for. That's a nod to a fictional Rolex-wearing character. All right, now, we're going to get into the Omega video. That's a really polarizing video. If you haven't seen it, link in the description. Be forewarned if you're an Omega fan, or even more so, an Omega fanboy. Click with caution because you're probably going to get triggered from that video. I do want to address some of the comments from that video, but I'm not going to do it in this video, all right? That's going to happen in the future. Anyway, in this video, I want to talk about two competing theories as to why Rolex cannot keep their steel sports models in the AD. Now, if you go to an AD, you can't find, say, a sub or a GMT or pretty much any steel sports professional Rolex. They are always sold out. Now, you can find them on the gray market, and you're going to pay a premium for them. Probably, well, 50% more in some cases. Some really popular models like a BLRO or a BLNR. Those are the GMT, Batman, and Pepsi. You're going to be paying essentially twice the price, 100% more to get that watch. Now, why is this situation the way it is? I mean, what's going on? Well, there are two competing theories, and I call the first theory the Thorpian theory after Paul Thorpe, because he made a great video, link in the description, pretty much codifying this theory, and he does a great job of explaining it. And the theory was around long before he made a video on it, but we got to call it something. So the Thorpian theory basically states that Rolex is purposely withholding their steel sports models to strengthen either the brand or those models. And by withholding them, they can sort of control the prices in the market. And according to him, and he states that this is a theory and he doesn't know for sure either, they very likely are stockpiling these. I don't know about that, but basically the Thorpian theory is that it's calculated and it's purposeful, all right? Now, the other theory, the competing theory, I call the Danion Theory, okay? The Danion Theory is named after Captain Danny, who is a watch aficionado and an airline pilot and a contributor to Rolex magazine. And his theory, at least back in the day when he threw it out in one of my video's comment section, is that Rolex simply cannot keep up with demand. Now, let's explore this theory a little bit, all right? Basically, and I'm adding a lot here, so I don't know if you would stand by this 100%, but basically, in a nutshell, this theory is that it's not calculated, they just can't keep up with demand, all right? But let me give a reason as to why this might be, okay? So China, the Middle Eastern countries, you know, in the past they would really probably go for gold pieces. You know, gold is more popular in certain parts of the world, and so two-tone pieces, gold pieces, that's probably what people would go for. But for some reason, the steel sports line has just gotten really popular, and I think people in those markets, instead of buying these days gold models, they want the steel models. And so all of a sudden you have a huge increase in the demand for steel sports models, and Rolex can't keep up with the demand, all right? Now, they might not be able to keep up with the demand, or they might just, and this is really going into what Danny was saying, they may have a set number allocated per year. And if that's the case, it's like when they sell out, they sell out. And so if you have markets that open up and start going crazy over certain models, well, that's just too bad. And that very well may be what happened. And pretty much everybody on the planet is nuts about the GMT Master 2. And so if they're just making the same amount that they did 10 years ago and 15 years ago, then it makes perfect sense why you can't find them. Now, really, this theory is different than the Thorpian theory in the sense that it's not calculated. It's just Rolex hasn't done anything different. The world has changed. Now, which theory do you think is correct? Well, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think you can have a little of both perhaps, but I think one thing is for sure. Rolex could solve the problem if they wanted to, all right? But they might not want to, and I say that, and then in the same breath I say that they actually might not be able to realistically. And what do I mean by that? Well, it's one thing to say, okay, we know there's a problem, let's just up demand, but actually doing it could be a lot harder than you think, all right? You can't let quality control suffer, and so getting production up could take years. And also, what do you do with, for example, if you have a factory and you say, okay, well, we're going to tone down on the two-tones and we're going to up the steel professional models. Well, what do you do with all the gold? I mean, Rolex has their own foundry, and so what do you do with all that excess gold? Do you have to retrain those people? There's a good case to be made that they just sort of have a decided amount set each year. Of the million watches or so they make, they say, okay, this many subs, this many GMTs, and it just hasn't changed. And the world has changed. And, again, there are two interesting theories. I'll let you guys debate which one it is. What do I think it is? Honestly, I don't know. I mean, at times I think it's calculated and pernicious, and I tend to buy into the Thorpian theory. At other times I think, well, maybe it's just, they're not trying to piss people off, and maybe the Danion theory really explains it better. You could find these models 10 years ago and you can't these days. And it could be just, through the internet and sort of a collective awareness of these models, the GMT Master 2 has emerged as like just a really, really popular brand, and everyone on the planet wants one, and hence you have what you have, and it's not really calculated. So I'll let you guys talk about which theory you think is correct. Ask me on any given day, and I might change my mind. But one thing I will say is, whatever the situation, it's good for Rolex. And so they might not be motivated to change it. So you could be a believer of the Danion theory and then say, well, yeah, Rolex could change it, but why would they? They're in a great place. Let me know what you think. Take care. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Wow, it's hot.